Beth Green, and otherwise known as Granny Roxanne.
And this is Sweet Baby James, otherwise known as James Maynard.
And tonight I'm going to talk about what does it mean to be whole? A common sense approach. No, being whole is not a woo-woo thing. It's a real thing, and it's a common sense thing. So some of you who are watching this are going to notice that the video is lousy and the voice isn't that great either. Well, we lost our internet this morning, and we're using a backup satellite, which is miles and miles away in the sky. So we're lucky we have anything, but here we are, right, carrying on. So before I start talking about what does it mean to be whole, I'd like to ask Sweet Baby James to introduce you to our show, which is called
The Inner Revolution, Changing the World from the Inside Out, where every Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, we have the opportunity to let Granny share her wisdom, her wit, and her uncommon sense, and make us think about things in different ways, hopefully to make sense of the world and ourselves.
Oh, I should have said, what does it mean to be whole? An uncommon sense approach. That would have been more like me. So welcome to everybody who's already joined us. And Tracy is in. Hello, Tracy.
Hello.
And Luann is waved. And so I've already done the explanation of why the video looks so lousy, because we're on a satellite, which is a miracle that we're recording it all because we lost our internet. So anyway, all right. So last time, which was Monday, I talked about how to be happy in an unhappy world. And I said that the key is to be whole so that we are not so impacted by one another's energy or attitudes or whatever. And Elizabeth said hi and sent us a heart.
And Elizabeth is the one who asked the question, how do we become whole?
Did. She and somebody else, Mary Chris, also wanted more on this.
Right.
So I'm going to try to answer that question, but I can't answer that question all tonight. Unbelievably complicated question, but I'm going to try to make it simple. And some of you will say, oh, God, that's so simple.
It's like answering, what is the meaning of life?
Really? Right? So anyway, I think that, first of all, the whole point of last show is, yes, we are all connected, so we feel each other's pain. And yes, there continue to be situations where people do harm to one another or to us, and it's painful. But what we can do with that pain, instead of going into being unhappy too, is to use the pain to let ourselves be aware that something's going on, and then let that pain go through us and return to our center to calmly ask ourselves what, if anything, we should do. Well, and Nasha joined us tonight live. Oh, how delightful. And he sent us hearts and flowers and everything. Thank you for coming. So, first of all, I want to say that to be happy, we have to allow the feelings to flow through us, as I said a minute ago. But we have to be whole to start with in order for that to happen. See, a house divided against itself cannot stand, right? It's going to have cracks. It's going to have holes. So anything that's kind of toxic is going to seep in instead of flowing through. Got it? We don't want things to, so we have to be whole. Means we don't have holes in us. Isn't that funny? Whole means no holes.
I've got some holy socks.
Okay, and that means we don't have any cracks. But now that's all very kind of like in the air. I want to bring this really down to earth. And some of our viewers have rightly asked, what is wholeness and how to get there? And that's a great question. So I'm going to try to begin to answer that now. First of all, what is wholeness? Wholeness is coming together, the coming together of the fragments of ourselves in a dynamic process of becoming. Now, I told you that was going to sound airy-fairy, didn't I? Well, that I'm going to give you...
it's very psychological.
I know, but I'm going to give you a common sense explanation of what that means. And Anasha sent us a kiss.
And Helen says, hi there.
Oh,
Helen.
Oh, hi there, Helen. So, okay. So wholeness is the coming together of the fragments of ourselves in a dynamic process of becoming. Okay. Let me translate that into common sense. Wholeness happens when the parts of ourselves are working together and we are not fighting ourselves.
Oh,
See, doesn't that sound like common sense?
yeah,
You
it
know,
does. It does.
it's really the same thing, but they're two different languages. Okay. So I want to tell you how this answer came to me because all week, since Monday, I've been saying, how am I going to answer that question? So last night I had a dream that helped me to come to this answer. In the dream, there was a bunch of women of different ages and skills, but all the women were showing leadership in their own sphere, in doing something that helped the group or the world. One was teaching children, one was leading a spiritual service, one was coordinating, and so on. In fact, one started dancing every time some guy showed up and started making noise with his equipment. He was using a drill, he was using a this, and it was going. She started dancing, you know. So each she was integrating the noise into the whole thing, right? So these women were operating like we do in a potluck. Everyone was giving leadership and offering what they had, and we were all giving leadership and encouraging each other to help each other and help all others. And it was great. And when I woke up, I said, what did this dream mean? And suddenly it became clear. All of these women represented parts of me. And then I knew I had the answer to the question of what is wholeness. All these parts of me were working together and being coordinated, interestingly enough. And I'm thinking maybe the coordinator was the soul or the spirit. But whatever, it felt great. And then Todd said hi. So is that the way we experience life? Of all the parts of ourselves working together, where we're not fighting ourselves? Well, I don't think so. I think sometimes we feel that way, but a lot of times we don't feel that way. So I'm thinking, well, why is that, and what can we do about it? And by the way, I think there's going to be more to this topic maybe next Monday, but we'll see. More often than not, I am in conflict with myself. Different parts of me can be in conflict, or even different parts of the parts can be in conflict. So, for example, my heart wants to live in the forest far away from the noise, the pollution, and the city life. But my brain wants to live in town because I know I need help. That creates an inner conflict, right? My sexual energy is aroused by this guy, but my common sense says keep away from him, right? Doesn't that create inner conflict? Even one part of me can be in conflict within itself. For instance, let's take my body. You say, oh, my body is a part of me, right? Well, my body tells me it wants to go to sleep because I feel so tired. But my legs, which are also part of my body, want to move because it's better for my muscles or my energy, or I just feel the urge. So even within myself, and even within the part that we call my body, I'm in conflict. So what do? What do I even want? Obviously, that depends on which I you ask, right? Are you asking the body I? Are you asking, the legs I? So this division within myself is what makes me not whole. And if I'm not whole, I am more vulnerable. I have cracks in my intentions, and you can tap into that crack. And I'm confused. I mean, if you look at a vase and it has a crack in it, it's going to be a lot more vulnerable, right? So going back to happiness, let's say I want to be happy, but at the same time, I feel guilty about it. So your pain can trigger my guilt, and my intention to be happy will crumble in the face of your pain. Got it? So that's an example of how not being whole makes us more vulnerable. Okay, so what's the solution? I'm going to get to that right now. But it's kind of a weird answer, but it's what I feel is what I need to talk about first. I have to recognize that I am not static, meaning I don't just stay the same, and that I shouldn't be. 1 minute I want to sleep, and the next minute I want to dance, and the next minute, and this is the longest minute, I'm in the kitchen checking out the snacks. Now, this is not a lack of wholeness, guys, although I may be criticizing myself. See, I can crap on myself about this. My body is just telling me first that I have different needs, and they have to be dealt with in different order. So, as I said, first, I need to rest. Then I need to dance. Then I need to eat. I'm not crazy. I'm responding to these different priorities minute by minute. So the first thing is I have to drop the judgment and stop thinking that I'm an idiot, right? Which is, I seem to be. And so the first key of being whole is we have to stop feeling like we have to take a position or have an opinion all the time and that it just sits there and it's supposed to sit there. We can sit in the not knowing and can allow ourselves to be fluid. So I'm going to go back to my simple example. Let's look at how that works. If my body wants to sleep, but my legs want to walk, I can ask myself, should I go to sleep first or should I walk right this second? I can feel that the urge to sleep is stronger. So, yeah, it's okay. I just close my eyes and I start resting. It's true that my legs still need to exercise, but they need to wait until the rest of me is ready to carry them. That doesn't mean that I have to take a nap or go to sleep. Maybe 2 seconds later, my legs are saying, it's been enough, it's time. My body says, okay, let's get up and start walking now. So when it feels like time to stop, maybe you'll rest again, or maybe you won't even want to anymore, or maybe you'll take a 20-minute nap and you'll get up and walk. See, it's about being so tuned into yourself that you can feel the flow of your needs. Amy said, I'm glad to be able to join now and see you guys again. We'll listen to the earlier part shortly. That's very cool. Okay, so see, in other words, a lot of inner conflict is that we're getting stuck in positions, even within ourselves, against ourselves, and we're not allowing our needs to evolve through time. I only have to know what is my highest need now in this second and act on that. See, and if we were doing that, we would be more whole. Now, so first I recognize that my needs aren't static. But another point to look at to be whole is I look at what my inner conflict is telling me. Now, here is an example. It's going to be a long example, but it's going to go on and on, right? I am graduating from college, and I feel like I really need to get a job and support myself, move out of my parents' house. I'm a man or a woman now, right? Okay. But something is stopping me from doing it. I have inner conflict. Nick wrote, you are a great person. Nick!
Thank you, Nick.
Oh my God, whoever you are, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I love that. Okay. So let's take a look at what is stopping me. What is the inner conflict? Maybe I feel embarrassed about the fact that I'm scared to move out. So I'm trying to cover it up, right? So I really am not ready, but I don't want anyone to know that. So that creates an inner conflict because my real need is to stay put, but I feel embarrassed. So that is creating an inner conflict. I've looked within myself to see where that conflict is coming from. Understanding the foundation of my conflict is so helpful. Now, my parents are waiting for me to make a decision, to make a move. Supposing I tell them that I have this inner conflict, and can they give me time? Oh, how vulnerable is that? How can I tell anybody that I have it? Well, it's really could work. I mean, that would be what a whole person would do. And then returning to the point about letting ourselves evolve, supposing I just relax and say, at the moment, I feel like I am too afraid to be on my own. I feel embarrassed about it, but my higher need is to stop until I deal with my fear, either by staying with my parents or overcoming the fear. See? So first I have to accept my fear as understandable. None of my friends have gotten jobs. I have no sellable skills. I majored in the history of Outer Mongolia. And I can't find a job at Costco like that, right? Or maybe I'm afraid of interviews, whatever it is. All parts of me accept that that's how I feel, including the part of me that says I should become independent. Do you see how we become whole? Because all the parts of me are now aligning with the bigger part, which is right now I'm just so scared I can't do this, even though I really think I Accepting that's how I feel and understanding my fears, I talk to people or get some counseling, I try to get some support. Then maybe 3 weeks later, I've been hanging around my parents' house and I'm feeling that experience is just not a happy one. I really don't want to do this anymore. I don't like how I feel. In fact, all parts of me don't like the way I feel, even though I still have my fears. You see that? Because I've allowed this to evolve. Right? Now I feel ready to try to move on. So I acknowledge it. I tell myself and my parents, wow, I suddenly feel ready to try. So now I go out and I get interviews and all this. Now, supposing a couple of weeks later, all my job prospects have disappeared, and I think I need more time. I don't have to feel conflict with myself. I don't have to feel ashamed or stupid or whatever. I just need to acknowledge my feelings have changed over time. See, we have to acknowledge that our feelings will be changing over time and that I am fluid. See? And instead of thinking of myself as a coward, because if I do, I will crush myself and likely become even less able to take action. Now, I'm going to come back to this example because there are other really juicy things about it, which I'm going to bring up a little later. Oh my God, look how late it is already. Okay, we tend to get stuck on what we think we should do, but maybe we really don't know. And thinking we know what we should do can create a lot of inner conflict. I think it might be better just to say, all of me just doesn't know right now what I should do. And I think I should walk, but actually maybe I should rest first. I think I should break up with my husband, but maybe I need to process why I'm staying with him first. I decide I need to stay with my folks until I feel more ready, and they're okay with that. I think I have made this choice because I was scared. Now, this is interesting. I think I have made this choice because I was scared. But then suddenly my dad has a heart attack, and we're all glad I stayed. So maybe I actually stayed because something in me said you shouldn't leave yet. And when dad is back to health, I feel better. A job shows up for some reason, and I feel ready to move on. Do you see a lot of inner conflict? Is our judgments about ourselves, and are not allowing ourselves to move fluidly. So to be whole, I need to stop the inner conflict by realizing that I am evolving. I can check in with myself at any moment and let myself keep looking at what is for my highest good at that moment. I can keep looking at the reasons that I might be choosing one thing over the other. Why am I in this state? See self-reflection. And I deal with those things if they are obstacles to my highest good, always supporting myself to evolve. Now, doesn't that sound a little bit better than, I hate myself, I don't know what to do, or I'm a jerk? Now, what happens to the son who is afraid to leave home? He has accepted he needs to stay for now, but that uncertainty might make everybody else feel anxious. Mom says, well, is he moving out or isn't he moving out? She doesn't say that to him, of course. So mom, of course, is feeling terrible because she has an inner conflict between looking like a good mother who's going to let him stay forever and wanting to get the kid out of there so she can have a little time with her husband who has recovered from his heart attack. So you see, if mom can feel like it's okay to not have the answer right now, then everybody is on the same page. There's no conflict. But if mom really wants him out, and that's really for the highest good, and that's a real imperative, then maybe she wants more privacy, or she then can tell him, son, at this moment, I really feel you need to move out, so let me help you, right? She may have been in inner conflict because she wants more privacy, but she's reluctant to lose her baby. She needs to self-examine, right? But maybe it's really right for him to go. But she doesn't want to look selfish, right? But there it is. Once she realizes that she has a right to need that she has evolved, that when he was 2 days old, it was fine for her to feel like she had to take care of him. But maybe now that he's 35, she feels it's okay for her to move on, right? So she can allow herself to evolve, and then she will tell him that she feels that way. And that will, guess what, impact his feelings about staying, because it won't feel safe or right anymore. And then his reality will change. So, what do I mean? So, we need to respond to the reality of the moment. The reality is I need to rest. The reality is I need to walk. The reality is I need to self-examine. The reality is that I need to act. The reality is I need to move out. The reality is that I need to stay. What is the reality of the moment? See, and if I can connect to that and recognize that that can change in a minute, in a month, in a millennium, then we're open to doing the right thing for then. Now, I need to get to talking about how do we determine what's for the highest good, but I'm not going to do that today because, oh my God, because this is the topic I needed to talk about today, right? In the evolution of this topic, this was the next step. So, what does this have to do with wholeness? I am stopping the inner conflict because I'm accepting that I am in a process evolution, and so is everyone else. It's like you said you would stay with me forever and you just left me. Well, maybe you evolved, right? So I can't hold you in a place either. And then there's conflict between me and you, and inner conflict within me because I really want to be out of a relationship with somebody who really doesn't want to be with me or whatever, right? But I tell myself I still need him because I did on the day that I pledged my troth. Pledged your troth. That's get married in English. Okay, so I'm stopping the inner conflict because I'm accepting that I'm in the process of evolution. And then all of me can move forward in some direction, knowing that it can change at any time. And I trust that I will know what the next step is if I'm listening deeply to myself. So back to us and our home, right? I said, should we move? Should we stay in the forest because I love it? Or should we move to this? Well, I have something to say about that. Let's say you are unhappy about being here because we're too far from help, but I want to stay. If I am whole, I can acknowledge your feelings. I can take a breath and just watch to see how things evolve. How do you feel tomorrow? If I'm not whole, I'm going to feel a conflict between what you feel in this moment and what I think I feel in this moment. I might not even be able to hold on to what I feel because I'm so impacted, because I'm so messed up on the inside. I will be confused. I will be taken out of my center. But if I am whole, I can accept my process and I can accept yours. We can allow each other to have the feelings we have in the moment without panicking. I don't have to have an answer right now. I don't have to have an answer. And that would help a lot right there. So I think on Monday, I'm going to talk more about how to become whole, because now I've talked about what wholeness is. And I know some of you are probably going to want to know that. So that's Monday. So tune in, come back, and find out the next chapter of this never-ending saga of trying to be happy in an unhappy world and trying to be whole. So I hope you have enjoyed this show.
And changing your world from the inside out.
And indeed, so tomorrow night, which is Thursday at 7 p.m., we hopefully will have a better internet connection because we're supposed to get one. And we will be broadcasting Dreams of Peace, which is my improvisational piano music. And Mondays and Wednesdays, we'll be back with The Inner Revolution, Changing Our Lives from the Inside Out. And tonight, right after this show, we are going to have our first meeting of what used to be called Growth and is now called Seeing with New Glasses. Through New Glasses. See, I can't even remember. Seeing Through New Glasses, a group supporting the Inner Revolution. And we talk and we connect to each other and we help each other really dig into these topics. And I lead the groups, and you get my personal support in them. And Sir James reminded me of something. You do have to pay for it up front. It's $25 a group. You sign up for 3 months. If you can't, you let me know if you can't do the whole 3 months at a time. But also, after your first group, if you don't feel that this is for you, just send me an email and I will give you a full refund. But that's only after the first group. You can't go on and try to sneak that in. That would not be nice. And I'm sure you would feel a lot of inner conflict about that. So I hope that you consider joining, Seeing Through New Glasses, and that you come back always to our show and to our many live streams. Please comment, like, love, and share this program. And please follow this page if you haven't already done so. We have lots of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. And